Hi, it's Rona, and today I have a layout for Scraplift Crafternoon. We are scraplifting this beautiful layout by Melissa Miner, and she has cards by Melissa Miner on YouTube and I believe also on Instagram. She does way more than just cards, so you will want to check her out. I'm showing you some of the things that I'm using, which is 49&Market. Some of it's Crafty Garden, some of it's a couple of other collections actually. But then the main thing that I was trying to use today is this beautiful paper. And this was printed by just a local print shop. It is a digital collection that Janet Fritz created. She has a YouTube channel as well. Galaxy Girl is her name here on YouTube. And this was purchased, or a freebie, because I purchased the VIP at the Scrapbook Summit. And that wasn't this past time. It was the time before this, I think in May maybe, that I purchased that and printed it. And I've been wanting to use this. I love this wood grain. I mean, that is gorgeous. The wood grain was probably my favorite paper. And it's going to end up being hidden more than any of the others in the whole collection. I'm going to, just like Melissa did, have lots of little layers. And I am going to distress them. There's the wood grain, and yeah, you can see I'm already going to cover them up with pictures, and then as I start layering, really all you can see are the little tips. But anyway, I printed 2 or 3 of each of these pieces of paper, so and I could always go back and print more if I wanted to, because it's a digital collection. I really have not done much digital. I did buy some from Pretty Little Studio and printed some of the You Are My Sunshine collection myself, but I didn't print 12 by 12 papers at that time. So this one, you can see that there is just a little bit around each of the edges that didn't print. They did the best they could do, and that was fine with me. I know I can always, if I wanted to use the whole thing, I would be able to do just a mat behind my layout, and I would, that would be just fine. No big deal. So for these anyway, I am cutting them up and using them for layering. I always prefer doing layering like this when I have some big scraps, but I cut right into these full sheets and I'm not even sad. It's just fine. The one that I have kind of as a 9 by 9 square there, I'm not even going to use that one. I kind of went a different direction. I love that one, and I want to be able to use that and then have more of it showing, I think. I love the way the leafy bits and everything are on that one, and I didn't think it was going to work on here. So I ended up using a different one instead. I decided that I wanted some that had like the stripes and then the little hand-drawn grids and that kind of thing. And so in the corners, you can see there where that has kind of that little grid, and that's what I'm going to end up kind of embracing, that because there is just more of a distinction in the paper, and I liked how that was looking, so that's what I'm going to go with. Kind of back and forth and back and forth. And this is sped up 3.5 times. So that's just my process. I overthink every decision. Let me know in the comments if you are an overthinker as well. It doesn't make that much difference, I'm sure, probably to some people. Just cut it and go. But that's part of my process. I just liked I just like to overthink, I guess. I don't know. I just like to make sure this is exactly what I want before I commit. So that is pretty much the 3 pieces I'm going to use from this collection. And I have lots left, and I will definitely be using it again because I think it's gorgeous. So I'm going to pull out this Distress Oxide ink. I have already, it looks like, distressed each of the layers. So then I'm going to go around it. This is kind of a grayish color. It matches well with the grays that are in Janet's paper, but then also the kind of beigey colors of the 49&Market, and this kind of ties it all together. I really liked how that looked. Um, Hickory Smoke, I believe. Is this? No, that's not Hickory Smoke. What is this one? It is Hickory Smoke. Lost Shadow was the gray I was thinking of, but that was too light. I did think about using that one, but um, I liked how this one was a little bit more gray and brown. So that's what I ended up going with. You might be able to see it on your screen too, but I'm pretty sure that's it. So I decided to do this blue for the back layer, and then more of the other one would show. I liked the stripes that were in that and that beautiful blue. I am changing out my adhesive. It doesn't take long. I'm sorry, I should have cut that out. I usually do, and it seems like, every other layout I'm needing to change in the middle of a video, but um, also I don't always glue when I'm on screen too. I like to lay everything out and let you watch the thought process, but not all the gluing process. On today's layout, I am going to kind of glue as I go a little bit more, so you'll see a little bit more of it today. So the photos didn't really have a lot of that peachy color, but I think it complemented and it kind of needed one more color in there as I was going through. I didn't want to cover the peach up because I really liked it, and the florals are going to have some of that peach in it as well. So this is 49&Market also, and I'm going to use some that I already had cut up for a previous layout instead of using the whole thing because I knew I was just going to be, using them as little tucking bits. I had so much fun creating this with all of the little bits that I tucked in. I used to do a lot of this, and every time I go back or we have one that we're going to scrap lift or it's in the sketch or whatever, or I just feel like it, I always think, oh, this is just so much fun. It is so relaxing just to try different things out and tuck little bits here. And even behind the florals, I was doing some little tucking with some of the bits that I fussy cut out. This was part of all those bits in that bin there are all part of the collection that I got from Janet Fritz. And did I say that? The Scrapbook Summit, it was the VIP. I think I said that. This is the second time I'm voicing this because the first time it didn't take for some reason. So now I can't remember what I said on this video, or this voiceover. Anyway, so I'm going to move that cluster that I'm kind of like everything I do is kind of going in that diagonal, but hers wasn't diagonal. So I forced myself to scooch it over here, and the title's going to go where that is because that's how it was on her layout. And I wanted to stay true. Hers is very beautiful, and I wanted to stay a little bit more true to what she did with those main elements like that. Of course, she used some butterflies. I'm using some floral clusters and leaf sprigs of leaves and that kind of thing. She did have kind of a rounded element at the bottom. She didn't really have that as a cluster necessarily. It looked like had some journaling in that bit, but I am probably going to journal on, I know I'm going to journal on the page that has the bride and groom from this wedding. And I already have several different layouts. So this one was just group shots, just like Melissa had used in hers. She used some group shots. That's kind of what determined what I was going to end up scrapbooking today. So I added the mixed media up there through a rub-on. She had mixed media on hers as well. This one is kind of the green that's in the collection, but then it also has that check print. Just like the border that I have around the layout. And I love how that kind of tied that all together. I thought it looked really good. And then also, if part of it was going to be covered up, I just added it back over to the edge. And that just added, I love how that looked. It added extra little bits so it didn't look real cut off or anything like that. I thought I wanted to use some of these labels, but I'm not going to end up using those. I just have the rounded one at the bottom, and it will be cut off because it's kind of hanging off the edge, and I liked that a lot. I was thinking about using those and then adding some, just where we were, but I decided not to because I didn't want to cover up those lines on the paper. I had specifically went with that so that it would kind of blend, and I just didn't want to lose the corners. And adding those labels in was going to make me lose those corners, so I ended up not doing that. Decided to add a little mixed media. She did not have that on hers, but I added a little bit more of the rub-on pieces over here under this cluster because mine isn't journaling, it is a cluster. And since I had done it on the other two, I decided to go ahead and do it here. In the final pictures, and now that I'm looking at the layout, this last little bit that I used was a little too just squared off. It was a part that I had cut, and I'm not loving it. So I'm gonna go back in after this is over and add um, just a little bit more rub on over there so that it doesn't look like it was just chopped off. It needs to be like the other two where it's just blending right in and fading out on the edges. I think that looks a lot more like, a true mixed media. So, and you can achieve that with the rub-ons if you do it without chopping it off. So you can see as I'm going, normally when you watch my videos, if you have watched my videos before, and if you have, I really appreciate that. And if you are new here, I will let you know that most of my videos are 8 minutes instead of 18 like today's, and I will glue off screen. But for today's, I needed to, just because of the type of layout that it is, I needed to kind of glue as I went. And so that's why all of this is in. You can see the thought process, you can see everything that I'm doing, but I did need to go ahead and add my adhesive and glue it down so that I didn't lose it, because since I'm tucking and adding, I didn't want to lose what I had, if that makes any sense. So when I decided, I knew I wanted to leave it, but then if I keep tucking and adding, sometimes I end up not having it placed the way I wanted to, and I didn't want to lose it today. Too often I do. If you've watched me before, just because it's where I, spent 15 minutes trying to decide on, it may not end up there by the time I take it all off and glue it back on. So today it is, because I'm gluing as I go. You can see the little bits of foam adhesive that I do on my uh, leaves and the edges of things, and then I glue the centers down. That just gives you a little bit more dimension. Works perfect on a layout like this that's all layered up. It really adds a lot of interest. Used a little bit of chipboard there. I found that dragonfly, and that's, because she had used butterflies, I thought I better have something flying on here, right? I wanted to use some of these washi tape little strips, and I was kind of scared too because it is, washi and transparent, and I wasn't sure how it was going to look, and I didn't want to take it off and put it on there and then not like it. Um, so I ended up just not. Then I get to this point with these laser cuts, and raise your hand if you like the 49&Market laser cuts. I mean, that is gorgeous. Look at that lace. That is so pretty. I knew I wanted to use it when I was kind of pulling these out, and that's the first thing that I thought of. Oh, that'll be really pretty tucked in when I'm doing my tucking, and I almost forgot to use it. I almost forgot to pull those out, so I'm really glad that I found it. And I'm actually going to take the blue and cut a bit of it off, and use it in there as well. And then, because it's the same color as these flowers that I'm tucking now, I thought I liked it, then I took them off, and then I thought, after I saw it, and took them off, I thought, "Oh, yeah, I do need that." So I just went back in and found some more pieces that were the same color, and I am going to come back in with them and leave them there, because once I had it on there and I saw how nice it looked with my photos, adding that color in, I just found more of that color and kept going with it. So there's a little bow. I'm trying everywhere. I don't know for sure where I want it. And I'm trying to get that placed so it will, yeah, there we go. And then get it glued down because I know I wanted to use that for sure. The bow isn't going to stay there. Here comes the flowers back again, and I really like how those look. There were several people in the photos that did have that color, and it's such a complementary color with the peach and that other color of blue and the green. I mean, all of those colors just look so nice together, and they're all represented in the photos anyway. So, well, the peach isn't really, but I guess our skin tones are kind of peachy, right? It all works, right? I think maybe one of my daughter's dress, the flowers that are on there are peach too. If I really look at it closely, it probably is in there too. So just kind of bending up the edges and then adding a little foam tape and gluing them down. Here you can see I've added in the Felicity Jane and Citrus Twist alphas to spell out wedding ready, because this was before the wedding and we were all dressed up, so we got a group shot. I have to glue down with some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive the bow, and then I also did the twine there that was on that tag. That was already on there. I just glued it so that it will stay where I want it. I love this piece of chipboard and what it does for that cluster. I mean, it just makes the cluster, in my opinion. It says these moments, and then the other one says remember this, and I'm going to add that up there at the top of the photo. Kind of draw your eye around the photos, and I felt like that really did that. I'm going to come in with these little bits. I'm going to add some hearts and some of the little dots. That one says good day. There's also some of these hearts that have stripes and dots, and I'm putting them on there, but I am not going to be able to stand it. I'm going to have to come back in, take those back off, and switch them out for solid color ones. Those are the hardest ones for me to use. I didn't like how they looked after I got them on there, so they're going to come back off and be switched out. I do add 2 more dragonflies. Well, one's a butterfly, I think, or a moth, and then one's a dragonfly. And so then I have my trio of those. I like how that looks. I am also going to add in off screen. Well, and I think I didn't show adding in that one ticket. It was a cutter part on the 49&Market packaging. I cut it in 3 places and then added to add that blue through. And then I'm also going to, after I get finished here, you'll see in the final shot, add in some of the blue diagonal paper to add one more little layer, and it just barely peeks out there. You can see it, and it was real easy to just tuck in under there. You can also see the blue lace that I added as well. For Scraplift Crafternoon, I have in the description box the playlist that Tara always puts together for us every week. Go check that out and see what everybody else did with this beautiful layout from Melissa. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.